Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're going to bring you some semi-breaking news from a couple days ago anyway, and it is something that people have already reached out to me about, which is, I guess, kind of fantastic. And this is going to be the recent announcements around UAE offering citizenship. Now, we covered this back in, I think it was early December, late November, something like that, when they first mentioned they would do it, but they brought out some new announcements to clarify. So I'm going to go through with you both what it is that the official announcements are, as well as I talked to some people who are close to the government and got some information from them in terms of what to expect. And then third of all, there's a really important lesson here that I think we can learn around kind of how we're positioning ourselves for, global freedom, for international life, etc., that is really worth learning. So I'm going to cover that as well, so stick around. Before we do that though, if you guys are at all interested in these subjects, such as getting second citizenships, getting residencies, where to move, unofficial citizenships, international tax planning, pay the lowest legal amount of tax possible whether you move abroad or whether you stay in a particular country, asset protection, payment processing, opening companies, opening bank accounts, definitely reach out to me. You can book a call, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer. We're happy to help you with any of those things. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and let's dive in. Okay, so the recent announcement, I think one of the interesting things, there was a couple different kind of changes in tone from what we heard back in the end of November when they first announced that they were going to allow citizenship. And in general, I think this is a fantastic piece of progress. It just kind of demonstrates how progressive UAE is. And I've kind of had this discussion with some people lately about, what countries are going to be dramatically better 10 years from now than they are today. And I think UAE is an example of one of them that's clearly improving and clearly going to continue to improve. They have very smart leadership. Okay. So the biggest announcement, the biggest piece that was valuable is they said that dual citizenship would be allowed. So previously they had said it wouldn't be. To me, the fact that dual citizenship is allowed is like a game changer. For those of you who don't know, the UAE citizenship is one of the best in the world. Basically, the only two places I think that you would want that it doesn't include are the United States and Australia. Okay, so otherwise it has pretty much everything, including China and Russia. It has Japan, it has New Zealand, it has Canada, it has UK, it has Ireland, it has the EU. It's like one of the most powerful passports in the world. In fact, a lot more so than many of the European ones from a certain perspective. Of course, UAE is a country that's pretty friendly to people who make money, so we like that as well. And so, yeah, it's in general a pretty interesting option. And so the concerning thing was that they weren't going to give dual citizenship. The fact that they allowed dual citizenship now, to me, that in itself almost makes it worth moving there. Let's talk about the acceptance criteria, because I've had some people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm interested in UAE citizenship by investment. So first of all, I wouldn't say that they have officially said that they're doing citizenship by investment, quote unquote. What they've said is they said they will offer citizenship to significant investors, to people who are, athletes and artists and things like this, as well as specific high value professionals, people who are like engineers and doctors and things like this. And I think this generally reflects UAE's attitude, which frankly I think is really pragmatic, which is, hey, listen, we want to take care of and attract people who are good for us. We're not interested in just having everybody, but people who are good for us, you're welcome to come. And so that's kind of the position that UAE has taken. Now, the information that I have from people close to the government is that this is not something that's they announced that they're kind of bringing it out, but forget about being able to access it probably in the next year, maybe 2 years. At first, what they're going to be doing is they'll have a government department which will basically be choosing people who they want to offer it to. The moment that they offered this, they had some very significant people offer them quite substantial amounts of money to get it. And so, I suspect that you'll find that that's going to be a factor. Supposedly what's going on is they want to kind of observe the global reception, in particular the reception of the EU to them offering this, and they'll kind of evolve and advance it from there. However, I think there's a few things that are interesting here. So first of all, some people might ask, how much will the investment be? I think it'll be a minimum of 10 million dirhams. 10 million dirhams is about 2.5 million euros. And why do I say that? Well, because that's the amount to get their kind of like golden visa, quasi-permanent residency thing. Is if you buy property worth 10 million dirhams, you can get that. So similar thing, I can't see them making it any less than that if it's purely investment. Now that doesn't mean that on one of these other bases you wouldn't be able to qualify, but this is not likely to be like a program like you would get in Portugal, right? On the other hand, I do think this is going to increase the number of people who are coming to Dubai. A lot of people are already coming to Dubai and UAE in general. I'm talking to people all the time who are there or visiting there, etc. I'm going back here shortly. And so I think that you're going to see a lot more people come there, which is going to be very positive for UAE. It's going to drive prices of real estate, etc. So, I think it's generally a good move for them, and it's going to be good for the people who are going there. So positioning yourself to go there might make sense. Now, the other thing that's uncertain, they didn't say specifically, but I think we have kind of a reasonable idea around it, is previously they had said you would need to learn Arabic. I'm skeptical that you will need to learn Arabic. I think the whole idea of what they're doing is to try and allow foreigners to come there and become citizens in order to stay and kind of cultivate that community in UAE. And so I doubt that they're going to require Arabic. We'll see. It's not official at this point in time, but I think even if they were to bring it on initially, I think they would drop it as a requirement fairly early on. This brings me to the last point, which is, what does this tell us about positioning ourselves? I think to me the lesson here, aside from, okay, hey, listen, maybe you should go and live in Dubai and start cultivating that so that, in a few years you have the potential to get citizenship, which is great, is the importance of making yourself valuable, okay? Like, the thing is, there's certain people who, they come from a place and they're like, hey, listen, well, I want to go to this country. But the question is, does that country want you to go there? Right? Like, this is a big difference. I remember years ago when I was kind of early on in business, I was interested in meeting various different celebrity business people. And a friend of mine brought this idea to me. He's like, hey, listen, instead of, what do you have to do to, call and talk to that person? The question is, what do you have to do to get them to want to call and talk to you? And this is kind of flipping the paradigm. I think this is a really useful way of thinking about it, right? Look, if you're somebody who is a great artist, is building a great company, is a successful, well-known investor, is somebody who's a fantastic, well-known doctor, etc., etc., that's going to make you more desirable to these places. You're going to have a much, much easier time. So I think the big lesson to me is working on improving yourself and making yourself more valuable to the world. And as a result, the world is going to welcome you much more than the opposite. So anyway, I hope that helps. Like I said, if you're interested in this, reach out to us. Certainly we can help you with, getting residency there in the meantime. We're helping a bunch of different people do that right now, getting companies set up there, getting residency permits in some places, buying real estate or using real estate purchases to qualify for residency permits. I think it's very attractive as a residency program. You can check out our other videos on it. But if you're interested then in other places, unofficial citizenship by investment programs, citizenship by investment programs in general, or residency programs all around the world, please reach out to us. If you're interested in tax planning, reach out to us. And if you haven't already, hit the like button if you like the video. If you don't, please tell me why in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And we're going to talk to you guys on the next video.